joining us today. We'll be putting together our Take and Make package, which is the Squirrel Picnic Table. You should have received your package from the Glen Abbey branch, and it should look something like this. We have all of our pieces piled on top of each other, and we're just going to separate them and lie them by the pieces that are all alike. I believe there's 4 different sizes, some thin, some a little bit wider. Those make it a little bit easier to assemble if we start putting them together this way. Keep in mind that there are some notches that are in some different orientations. Some that have a little hole cut out on the laser cutter, a little closer to the bottom to allow it to fit to the back of the picnic table, which you'll notice there. Make sure you do use some glue. We have some wood glue. I'll be using the Gorilla wood glue, but any wood glue will work for this. Just be careful not to use too much glue as we go. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, it's just a matter of filling up your table so you know where everything is. There's a couple different pieces. The brackets, you'll notice, have some different notches cut in the top. We'll get into that in a second. So the first piece we want to grab is the very back of our picnic table, which is going to have the little acorns cut out on the top. So if we want to start with that piece, you'll notice that there are 3 cuts from the laser cutter cut to the bottom. That's where we're going to be joining our pieces of our picnic table. This is going to be the back that's going to screw onto your tree or your fence. Then we're going to grab one bracket that has the 3 notches on top. Make sure you use that. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to glue those 2 pieces together and make sure that the holes line up perfectly. We're going to be sliding some of our boards through it shortly. So we just want to add a little dab of glue to hold those 2 pieces together. Make sure there's enough room on your table. Next, we're going to be grabbing the back part of our picnic table, the final piece to that package, and it's going to have the 5 notches cut out on top. So we're going to be making a sandwich with those 3 pieces. This is going to hold our whole picnic table together. So what you want to do is just make sure that all the different holes are aligned. There should be 3. And what we're going to do is grab some of our wood glue and then glue all 3 pieces together. Giving a good dab of glue where the pieces are going to touch. Just make sure as you're going that you are actually using a wood glue. It doesn't matter what type of wood glue as long as it's specifically used for wood. White glue will not be able to hold this together. It will probably fall apart underneath the weather. And putting the top piece on. Once again, we want to make sure that that top piece has the 5 notches on top. That's going to hold everything together for our picnic table. Now try to just fit everything together. Make sure our 3 holes are all lined up. As after we let that dry, we're going to be putting some pieces through these 3 holes, so they need to be perfectly lined up. And so now if we grab the widest of the boards that came in your package for the Take and Make, this is going to be the middle of our picnic table. It's going to be the brace that's going to hold it all together. And that's just going to fit right in the slot, right in the middle of our little package that we made. So just put a little dab of glue inside of there. Don't be afraid if it makes a mess. You can just wipe it off later. You just want enough to make sure that it's going to stay together. So just put that in the pre-cut hole. And just make sure you feel your way through and make sure it gets to the back of the 3 pieces. You can always pick it up and turn it around just to make sure everything's going through. Once we're happy with the positioning of our middle piece, we're going to put in the right hand side and left hand side piece. So those are going to be your 2 small thin boards that came with your picnic table. So those are just going to fit right inside that slot right there. So once again, we're just going to add a little dab of glue. Once again, don't be afraid to put a good amount in there to make sure everything sticks together. The middle board should have leveled everything out, so now this one should go in with ease through the slot. Once that's in, we'll just move on to the next one. That'll hold everything together. This is where you might want to pause the video and give the glue a little bit of time to set. I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds here just to move on, just to show you how to put it together. But at this point you might want to pause it just to let the glue dry a little bit. After it's dried, we're going to stand it up. It should be a little stronger and set. We're going to grab the last bracket, and that's going to go on the front of the picnic table to hold those 3 pieces of wood together. Once again, we have the same 3 slots that we do on the other ones. Just going to add a dab of glue in the slots themselves, so when it slides through, it holds it nice and tight. There should be plenty of room in that for the pieces to slide through, so you can adjust it as you're putting the top boards on. So just try one at a time, do one piece at a time, work left to right or right to left. Then just slowly put the pieces in. There we go. Now we're just going to let it set for a minute. Then we're going to grab those 2 pieces that are offset. You'll notice that one of the holes is cut close to the end. You want to get the piece that's close to the end, the hole that's close to the end, and connect it to the part that has the acorn on the top. That's going to fit flush to that back wall. You'll notice that the other side, the one with a little bit more, half an inch there in front of the slot, you'll notice that it won't fit on the backboard. It needs to be that thin slot there. So just going to put a little dab of glue on the back where the hole is. Then just gently connect the 2 pieces together. As long as you've made the orientation proper with the pieces, it should just fit on like butter. Once again, the exact same thing. These are the middle 2 boards, the top of the picnic table. Let's give it a dab of glue where the cut is on both sides. Then we're just going to put it onto the slot and let it sit for a second with the glue on. And that's the last of the assembling pieces that have to connect together. Now it's just a matter of putting all the rest of our boards on our picnic table, and the glue will hold them all down. So we're going to grab the 2 remaining wider pieces. So those are going to be going on the top of our picnic table. So we're just going to give a dab of glue on the section that's going to hold it up. Feel free to add a little bit more glue at this point, just because that more glue you use on the back joint that's holding it onto the tree or your fence, the stronger that connection is going to be, the more glue you add, and give it plenty of time, probably overnight, to dry and set as well. So we're just going to rest our board on top, give a little bit of pressure so the glue can stick. Same with the other side. Make sure everything's nice and tight. If you do get some glue just kind of bubbling up at the back or anywhere else, just feel free to wipe it off with your finger. Wood glue isn't going to hurt. And lastly, we just have our boards for where you would typically sit on a picnic table. So we're going to add a little dab of glue where it's going to connect with the braces on the front and the back. And we're going to do the slots on the inside of the picnic table next. You'll see, just slide it Where those two little notches are, you're just going to slide it next to it and just tap it into place. Everything should be a nice easy fit. You shouldn't have to force anything at this point. So I'll do the outside piece now. So now the right hand side is done. We'll just let the glue hold that down. Okay. Now for the left hand side, then we're going to be all complete. So we'll grab our first board once again, add a good amount of glue to stick down. And our last piece, and our squirrel picnic table will be complete. A little bit of glue, tap it down on the outside, and we are now good to go. That is our squirrel picnic table. I hope you had fun, and make sure you look on our website, opl.ca, for more take and makes in the upcoming months, and they will now be all posted on YouTube for ease to go back and make any changes. Or if you wanted to come to the creation zone and cut your own, you could always cut it and make some alterations of your own. Then you have a video to follow along with. Thank you again. Have a good night.